Oh, there's a big match today. The future of tennis versus the present. You know, I saw some great comments out there. One of them, I saw the first comment because we know Ollie's excited out there. If you know Ollie, longtime fan of the show, big fan of Rafa, does a lot of great things, putting out draws at all the Grand Slams for people on the internet right away, showing who's playing which seeds. And he said something along the lines of, people thought at age 18 that Rafa Nadal, who myself and Rafa, we will both be 36 in the next couple of months here. At age 18, the doctors told Rafa that he may never be able to play tennis again. And 18 years, almost, we're not quite 36. 18 years later, here Rafa is doing this. It's just incredible. It really is. And he is barely getting by some of these opponents. I mean, if you just look at the stats with Nick Kyrios from last night, or yesterday day, whenever it was, the day before, take a look at these stats. Kyrgios has got more winners, less unforced errors than Nadal. Only loses 3 points less, but remember in that tiebreak, Kyrgios kind of gave up, especially the last couple points, right? What was it? Kyrgios had already smashed a racket, and then he does. When me and my mother were in Miami, we saw Kyrgios against Chorch, I think it was, and he told someone in the crowd there to shut the F up, and that cost him a game penalty. He'd already had a point penalty, a la Serena Williams style. And he got defaulted, basically. They took the game away from him when he was down 5-3, I think. And now, down 6-0 in a tiebreak where he had already kind of sprayed a forehand, not really trying to get it in. A couple points, pretty loose points where Kyrgios kind of given up on that tiebreak after a great first set, a real shame. And then he gets the point penalty on set point down, Nick Kyrgios. Anyways, but my point is, you saw Rafa throwing in a lot of double faults. I didn't realize he had 8 double faults against Quarter. I said it was about 10 in our last video. I didn't realize, though, that was his record for most double faults and best of three sets tennis matches for Rafa. So Rafa, again, getting close to that record. I think he threw in 5 or 6 doubles against Kyrios. Sounds about right. 5 against Dirty Dan Evans. Less, but we told you, he had one bad game where there was a couple doubles against Riley Opelka and things almost fell apart there. He was able to break back, luckily for Rafa. So Rafa barely hanging in here, and now we have this future guy. And we talk a lot about belief. We'll talk later in the show about Taylor Fritz, who had a real Puppenpansen, as Dominic Thiem would say, a Puppenpansen moment where he threw in not quite the 4 double faults of Sasha Zverev, but a forehand unforced error and 3 double faults to let Katzmanovic take control of that second set. Luckily for Fritz, Katzmanovic had a real Puppenpansen total set, almost getting bageled. I mean, he just kind of fell apart there. I don't know if that was mental. I think maybe a little bit physical there as well. He's had a lot of tough matches. But anyways, we talk about this mental tennis stuff, and now we got Alcaraz, who clearly is looking pretty mentally tough. Him and Jannik Sinner, I'd say, are most mentally tough young guys out there. And the question I have is Alcaraz, I don't think last year when he played Rafa, I don't think he believed that he should be beating Rafa yet. Does he believe it's time for him to be beating guys like Rafa, legends of the game? Is Alcaraz there yet? We will find out in 5-6 hours from now, something like that. But anyways, great comments here. Throw a couple. Elizabeth Seminario. Carlos Alcaraz is the near future #1 and Grand Slam winner. Are we on the cusp? I've been asking questions like these for a while. Are we about to see someone very dominant, a la Big 3 style, come in and take over? We kind of hope so because we need star power, which leads me to this next comment from Edwin Aguilar. Really sorry to say, but Miami minus the Big 3 equals an ATP 250. I mean, the bottom half of the draw kind of felt like an ATP 250 minus, and I should have gave him more respect last time, Andrei Rublev, part of the next gen Big 4, our only representative from that group remaining in this tournament. But yeah, he said, Miami minus the Big 3 is ATP 250. Maybe I will watch the teen sensation Alcatraz. No one can escape. I love that. Carlos Alcaraz, no one can escape. We hope, because if he starts winning like that, we've got another Big 3 style star on our hands again. And tennis, it'll be pretty healthy. I saw an article just yesterday. I didn't print it out or bring it to the show today, but it said tennis is slowly dying. Now, they were talking about how all the Grand Slams are going to do 6 games all, 10-point tiebreak for 1 year. And then I think they'll reconsider it after the Australian Open next year. So after all 4 majors get a chance to run with this, we'll see. It was kind of confusing how all the slams had different endings, the way they ended their fifth sets. At least they didn't get rid of best of 5. That would really be a tragedy. But that was the idea of that article, tennis is dying. But tennis is also, in a way, dying because, you know, you can see it at Indian Wells, Palm Springs, California. I think that's an older crowd living out there anyways. A lot of people travel to the tournament, of course. But tennis fans, as you know, you've probably read it somewhere, they're getting older and older on average. A lot of sports fans, I think baseball's got the same problem. You know, we need younger fans because people don't live forever. It'll be interesting to see how many tennis fans, how many people are interested in the sport 10, 20 years, maybe even just 5 years from now when we don't have our big 3. So we're rooting for a guy like Carlos Alcaraz. Lane Browning, one more comment really quick. Sinner, the chosen one, is now second in line because Carlos Alcaraz is the real future #1 of tennis, in my opinion, and has been my tip to win this tournament from day one. Well, good call there, Lane. It certainly could happen. It feels like this is our real final. No disrespect to Rublev. He's looking very good. We'll look at the stats from his match, talk a little bit about him, too, in the show today. But I do believe that this is our real final, Rafa and Alcaraz. The winner here will go on to win the tournament, giving Rublev some serious respect. And, you know, Fritz is a guy who is here. We saw what he did at the Australian Open. I mean, he's stepping up his game. He's really bringing it. But Fritz is a guy who's here because he's got very clean, beautiful strokes. He's got a great serve. He's got a good backhand, of course, but the forehand is a real weapon along with the serve. I think he had some ridiculous number of winners. We'll look at it later, but like 26 forehand winners. Plenty of, was it 26? Maybe it was Alcaraz who had that. I can't remember. I think it might have been Alcaraz, actually. He's got a real weapon on the forehand, too. But Taylor Fritz right there with tons of winners. And his movement has gotten better. That's something you usually don't see guys getting faster. But I guess he's done everything you possibly can to move a little better, get out of the corners quicker, and have a better overall footwork. So Fritz, a more effective player, one of our most talented U.S. players here. No disrespect to the guy. He is a hometown favorite and all that. But I think our real final is Nadal and Alcaraz. With that said, let's take a look at what happened with Nadal and Kyrios before we hit the music and get into the actual show. This was an incredible moment for me. And like I said before, Rafa barely got by in this. And you got to say it was mental again with Nick, although he's been better overall. I think overall, you know, it was pretty good effort from Nick Kyrios here, despite kind of tanking that first set tiebreak a little. He didn't tank the whole thing, but he tanked enough of it for us to be disappointed with him. And this incredible moment happened where Kyrios is kind of getting heckled. Play this clip. You hear the guy yelling, kind of heckling.
Thank you,
and then chair umpire Carlos Bernardes, who Rafa used to have a serious beef with.
10,000 people want to watch tennis here. You're the only one who's screaming like crazy. Please.
Incredible stuff there. Woo. The sun coming out of there, blinding me on this paper. We got 10,000 people here watching tennis, and you are the only guy yelling like a crazy person. Well, at a crucial moment in the third set, in the thick of it, that guy made himself heard once again.
Please.
Take a listen to this clip.
Oh dear. A sarcastic thumbs up to perhaps the fan who shouted out.
How long? How long?
Nadal leads by 4 games to 3.
How long, bro? How long? Because if you did something about it before, maybe it wouldn't have happened. It happens again and again. And look at the fucking score. Look at the score.
Kyrios with the thumbs up. I think that's the same guy. Double faults. Gives Rafa the crucial break. Rafa runs away with it from there, playing a lot better after that, despite lots of shaky moments in that third set. I think 4 games in a row, Rafa had dropped at least the first point, if not the first 2 points on his own serve. And, of course, throwing in a lot of double faults against a guy like Nick Kyrios with his serve. Very, very dangerous. Rafa lucky to get through this one. Now will he be able to handle Alcaraz, if Alcaraz, in fact, believes in himself. And also, just really quick, kind of amazing what Kyrios was saying, because, you know, this is what you have to do with babies. You know, I teach little kids tennis a lot of time. You can't allow them to get away with bad stuff that disrupts the entire group of kids you're teaching, right? They'll take over your class, and then no one learns tennis very effectively when you're dealing with one big crybaby. How long? How long are you going to let this go on for? If you had done something before, maybe this won't happen. And now Look at the effing score. We should have had Nick Kyrgios advising some of the world leaders who have been dealing with Vladimir Putin lately, right? It was pretty good advice for them, I think. You can't let these dictators and crybabies get away with this stuff for very long because it escalates and gets worse and worse. So maybe we should have had Nick Kyrgios giving some advice there. I apologize for all the sun here, but we got to take a look at Taylor Fritz's coach here. This is Michael Russell. You might remember him from the tour. He's a guy who basically outworked everyone, and that was what enabled him to stay in the top 100 for quite some time. Shorter guy, not a lot of power, but one of the hardest workers you'll ever see on tour. And now a coach, along with Paul Anaconda, you see here. Take a look. Michael Russell and Paul Anaconda, coaches of Taylor Fritz. Too much sunscreen. We've pointed out before, but every time I see this guy, Michael Russell, the ghost-faced killer, every time I see him, it just amazes me. Am I the one in the wrong here? I mean, I wear my sunscreen too. I am, in fact, a pasty white guy, and I'm on the tennis courts all the time, so I need to wear a lot of sunscreen so I don't get the skin damage. But comment below, is it just me, or is Michael Russell, is he overdoing it with the sunscreen? And then finally, take a look at this guy. You know, I saw a comment that said, Matt, you've been gone for a while. You know, we missed a lot of things. Actually, I'll have to tell you, we don't have enough time to get into it, but there was a very good reason why we weren't here during Dubai and Acapulco tournaments. We were, of course, planning to be here, and something happened very bad. But it worked out very well in the end. Anyways, we'll talk about that tomorrow when we get a little more time to get into it. But first, one thing we definitely missed. Take a look at this guy. Bill and some babes. One babe here. We might not see him anymore hanging out with Roger Federer doing those charity tournaments, right? After, in case you missed it, some news came out on Bill Gates. It turned out that Bill Gates was emailing, while he was married, he's emailing all the babes at Microsoft, emailing them and inviting them to sexual liaison, as you may or may not know. It was in the news. It was all over the place, so I'm not making this up. This is real stuff. But I was thinking about it, and are we really so shocked by this? I mean, talk about revenge of the nerds. Bill Gates is revenge of the nerds. This guy has no athletic ability, and trust me, I've seen him play tennis matches with Roger Federer as his doubles partner. Guy is, he's not a jock. Definitely on the nerd side of things. Becomes a multi-billionaire, one of the richest people in the world. And are any of us surprised that he was trying to pick up all the babes at Microsoft, just like maybe someone like a Nick Kyrgios would be doing? Well, I don't want to say any other athletes. We don't want to throw anyone under the bus here, but you know what I mean. Anyways, enjoy seeing Bill Gates there because we might not see him ever again if Roger Federer is playing. Welcome to Coffee Break Tennis. I'm your host, Matt Bradshaw. You remember what Roger Federer did last time? Someone was doing extramarital sexual liaisons from his camp. That's right, Gavin Rosdell, also living in California and showing up at Indian Wells a lot in the Roger Federer box. We never saw him again after he made sexual liaisons outside of his wife, his then wife, Gwen Stefani. Remember that? And I always wonder, is it Mirka? Is Mirka saying, No, Roger, you cut him off. He is not our friend anymore. I don't know, but I think Mirka had something to say about old Busy Bill Gates and his Microsoft babes. Anyways, like I said, we don't have a whole lot of time today, so let's get down and dirty and right into some stats. Did I have anything else? I think I covered all the things that I wanted to talk about from my show notes there. It has been a great tournament, and it's been awesome seeing Rafa just struggle to get it all together in these matches. You know, watching someone have parts of their game just totally fall apart, who's that good. Yeah, I guess that's why we see guys like this still. You know, you talk about belief, and you know, Roger Federer has said that he really wants to come back. He's doing everything that he can. These guys, they really believe that they still can play at the highest possible levels. They still believe that they can get by some of these bozos out there when they're not having a great day. Is Alcaraz going to be a guy that Rafa can get by if he's not having a great day? You do remember Alcaraz had a little bit of a poop and pansen moment last year when he played in Madrid against Roger. Remember, Alcaraz, I think Rafa hit like an overhead, and then Alcaraz jumped backwards and tried to flick his wrist down, hit like a backhand overhead, something like that. And then he landed funny, and within the first 5 minutes of the match, he had an injury timeout. And it was very weird. It was very awkward. It almost seemed like a mental thing, like he kind of panicked. Everyone had built this up. It was his 18th birthday, I think, at the time, or he just turned 18, something like that. Now he's closer to 19, a lot more experience. It's going to be very interesting to see this match today. But anyways, let's go through some stats, put them up on the screen. So let's talk about Fritz and Katzmanovic first, the real poopin' pantsin moment we had. Anyways, you see the third set was 6-1, almost a 6-0. Katzmanovic had to hold serve down 5-0. There was some talk there. He has had some brutal matches, so maybe he started falling apart physically. But Taylor Fritz definitely fell apart mentally, and I do have some clips where the commentators are talking about it. Take a brief listen to this.
In his level, and Fritz having a game where he just went completely missing. We can look back on the statistics from set number 2. 43 minutes it took. Fritz with 11 winners, 10 unforced errors, but one of those came at 3-4, and he then hit 3 double faults to back it up. It was just a disastrous service game for the 24-year-old American.
A disastrous game from out of nowhere. But with that said, 19, okay, it was Alcaraz, must have been with the 26. 19 forehand winners, 14 aces on the serve from Fritz, 39 total winners on 19 unforced errors. I mean, Fritz has got some sweet strokes. He's always hit a very clean ball. A friend of mine who is a very good tennis player and very knowledgeable about all sports, every time he sees Taylor Fritz, anytime I've been around him, I always hear him say, like, so pretty, such pretty strokes, beautiful, beautiful strokes from Taylor Fritz. And it's true, this guy hits a very clean ball. It felt like he wasn't athletic enough to get to the very best levels. So we'll see what he'll do with Andrei Rublev. But yeah, a very clean match here overall, other than the poopin' pantsin moment, which was just one game. You know, it's okay. You know, we've seen the big three. We've seen them have bad. Obviously, Rafa has had some very bad games in this tournament, but they always make up for it in the end. Will you get away with it when you play a better player? I don't know. Let's see. Katzmanovic hitting his forehand a little harder than Taylor Fritz overall, but it's not always about the speed. And Katzmanovic has very wristy forehand where you can kind of, you can accelerate all out. You can go all out acceleration on that shot and not be too worried about missing it. Okay, let's move on to Nadal and Kyrio stats. I think I already put this up on the screen, but look at it one more time. Kyrgios +1, Nadal -5. Again, 106 to 103 total points. This would have been one of those weird matches where the guy losing wins more points if Kyrgios hadn't put a goose egg, a donut, a bagel in that tiebreak. 0 points there. Rafa, more double faults, yes. Where is it? 7 double faults this time. So 1 away from his all-time record of most double faults in best of 3 sets tennis. But with that said, look at the unreturned serves. 34 from Rafa compared to 40 from Kyrgios. That's pretty good. Kyrgios is usually going to be one of the guys with, although against Nadal, that number comes down. But Kyrgios is usually going to be the guy with one of the highest numbers you see in this stat. Whereas Rafa, fairly close considering he had 6 less overall serving points and 6 less unreturned overall. So, there is a payoff for Rafa being riskier, hitting more double faults. He is also, he's been serving a lot better the last couple years from Rafa. The Carlos Moya effect. Big problem for Kyrgios here. You take a look at that. Made way more second serve returns than Rafa, by the way. Hitting harder than Rafa on both forehand and backhand, but less first serves going in for the King Kyrgios than he has. I think he's been averaging in this tournament something like 75% first serves in. Drops to 54. So this is a very winnable match for Kyrgios, which makes you worry if you're a Rafa fan. If Alcaraz came out the way he has, kind of embarrassing, really good veterans of the game, good players that Alcaraz has made look kind of silly out there. If he's going to bring that and not get a little nervous because it's the king he's playing, it's going to be very interesting. Must see TV tonight. Rublev and Dimitrov. Dimitrov playing, 19 winners, hitting more winners than Rublev overall. And again, pop over to this one, hitting a little, only 1 mile an hour, tied on the backhand, but a little bit faster on the forehand. But Rublev taking care of business. Look at the stats on first and second serve compared to Dimitrov. Dimitrov didn't play bad, just like Cam Norrie didn't play bad. These guys play pretty good. If you'll remember last year, we didn't have Indian Wells this time of year, but Rublev was pretty on fire around this time of year and had a good run until some mental moments where he looked a little weak, a little shaky out there. And who did he lose in Miami last year? I think it was Hubihurkacz, as Rafa would say. Anyways, let's go to who do we got next? Where are my Scam Nori stats? I don't see him. All right, well, suffice it to say that Scam Nori played a good match. Hit the music. Like I said, we got to get out of here fast. Scam Nori played a good match, but Alcaraz, just unbelievable. There was one stat I noticed, though, from Alcaraz. No aces. He's serving harder. That's been a knock on him. Same with Sinner. They need some more free points off the serve. Alcaraz has been getting it, but he didn't have any aces at all against Cam Nori. So watch out for that. Is this serve going to be effective enough against Rafa Nadal? Rafa did do one thing really well. Despite all the problems, he still won the match, and he returned outstanding. I'll leave you with this. Take a look. Here's Rafa serving way behind. You see where he is? Notice the speed on that serve, by the way. 141. This is where Rafa returns. Here's the view. This is what it looks like. A lot of people, still believe this myth that Rafa just hangs back forever. Same with Medvedev. Rafa going to return here. Here's where he's actually going to hit the ball. You see the ball there. He's about to hit it. And then on the next shot, Rafa's pretty close to the baseline. A little bit closer. Backed up a little from some defense. Kyrgios must have hit a good shot there. He's running out wide, but he's closer to the baseline. Hits a good ball here. Then he gets the short one. This is where he takes that next ball. Inside the baseline, finishing. This is what it looks like. Right on top of the baseline. And that was a winner. And then, of course, the contrast. That's why we love watching Nick and Rafa, total opposites. Look at Nick Kyrgios right on top of the line to return serve. Anyways, we will be back tomorrow morning, and we will talk all about what happens out there with Alcaraz and Nadal. I feel like the whole tennis world is going to be watching this match very closely. I'll give you a final prediction. I'm not ready to go against the King of Clay just yet. I think Rafa squeaks this one out. I think it'll be scary at moments, but just like with Opelka, just like with Seb Korda, just like with Nick Kyrgios, there'll be moments where you doubt Rafa, but the King will prevail in the end. I think he's going to keep this win streak going. He's going to win this tournament. He's going to have a good clay court season, and if he can win that French Open, if he can grab one more major on top of that, it's going to be really, really hard to argue, despite it's unfortunate Djokovic kept out for very stupid that he's kept out of the USA for this. But, he's getting it together for the clay season. He's going to make a big stand. Djokovic can beat Rafa at the French Open and tie it, then we got a whole different ball game. But I think Rafa's going to handle these guys. It's going to be Djokovic when he comes back, when Rafa runs into the real problems. Back tomorrow. See ya!